Three Cane Corsos walked into the most expensive street in the neighborhood, and the HOA sent a formal complaint within 4 days. But 4 months later, at exactly 3:09 in the morning, those same three dogs did something that nobody on that street ever expected. And when the footage came out, nobody said a word about the complaint again. Three Cane Corsos, 387 pounds of muscle, wrinkle, and silence. And on the night Margaret Holt moved into Clearwater Lane, the most expensive street in a neighborhood that had never seen dogs like them, she had no idea that those three animals would become the only reason she made it through the next 14 months. The neighbors had plenty to say. Most of it was said from a safe distance. Margaret was 54 years old, recently widowed, and moving into a house that was, by any visible measure, too large for one person. 4 bedrooms, a crystal chandelier in the dining room she never used, a garden that got full sun in the mornings, which meant nothing to her yet because she hadn't started caring about mornings. She had moved to Clearwater Lane for one reason: a fresh start. The house was her husband's Daniel's final gift, purchased 18 months before his diagnosis and closed 3 weeks after he passed. He had picked the neighborhood, the paint colors, the specific kitchen cabinet hardware that Margaret had argued against and would now never change. He had also picked the dogs, and she was not going to undo a single thing he chose. Aries was Daniel's first, a red and tan Cane Corso, 131 pounds, acquired 6 years ago when Daniel decided the house needed something that would make a would-be burglar reconsider his life choices at the gate. He was half joking. Aries was not. The dog was built like a question that only had one answer, and the answer was no. He moved through any room he occupied with the slow certainty of something that had never needed to hurry, because nothing had ever outrun it. He had Daniel's same quality: slow to speak, impossible to move, absolutely certain of everything he was. Caesar was the second, gray brindle, 129 pounds, with a forehead folded so deeply it looked like the face of something that had decided, long ago, to take everything seriously. He had been a companion dog for Daniel during his treatment. When the house went quiet at 2 a.m. and Daniel couldn't sleep, Caesar was always there, in the same position, breathing slowly, as if he was the one setting the pace for everything to calm down. The oncologist once said Daniel's cortisol levels were remarkably low for someone in his condition. Margaret knew exactly why. Nero was the youngest, all black, 127 pounds, with amber eyes that caught light in a way that made people step back instinctively. He was the observer. Every room he entered, he cataloged. Every person who came through the door, he assessed. Every sound in the house after dark, he processed and filed. Nothing moved through those walls without Nero knowing about it first. He didn't announce his findings. He just knew. And when the moment came that knowing mattered, it was enough. 3 Cane Corsos, Daniel's dogs, and now completely, permanently Margaret's. She had spent 2 weeks before the move asking herself if she was capable of handling them alone. The vet said yes without hesitation. Her daughter called it a crisis decision. Her new neighbor on Clearwater Lane, a woman named Patricia who sent a welcome basket with a handwritten note strongly suggesting that certain breeds might not be appropriate for a residential area of this nature, said nothing directly, but made her position clear by crossing to the opposite sidewalk every single morning for the first 3 weeks. The HOA sent a letter. It was politely worded. The underlying message was not. Margaret kept the dogs. The first week proved her daughter half right about the chaos. Aries knocked a vase off the entryway console within 4 minutes of arriving. It had been a wedding gift from 1994. He looked at the pieces on the floor, looked at Margaret, and walked away with the specific nonchalance of something that had assessed the situation and determined it was not his responsibility. Caesar immediately located the most expensive armchair in the living room and claimed it for the foreseeable future. The leather creaked when he settled in. It creaked every single day after that at 7:03 a.m. without exception. Nero went straight to the window facing the street and sat down. He stayed for 51 minutes. He had been there every morning since. The chandelier presided over a dining room where 3 Cane Corsos now consumed 22 pounds of food per week from bowls the size of hubcaps, while Margaret sat at the far end of a table built for 10. She had not eaten alone in 28 years of marriage. She ate alone now.
Except she didn't, really. Caesar's head would appear on the table by the 3rd minute of any meal, amber eyes tracking every fork without apology. Aries positioned himself close enough that his drool radius covered roughly half a playmat. Nero watched from across the room, alert and unhurried. It was the most consistent companionship Margaret had felt since the hospital waiting room.
Something else happened that she hadn't anticipated. She started sleeping. For 8 months after Daniel died, she had woken at 3 a.m. every single night without fail. The grief had a specific weight that settled on her chest in the dark and didn't lift until sunrise. Then the dogs came, and something about the sound of 3 massive animals breathing in the bedroom, the slow, deep rhythm of it, Aries near the door, Caesar at the foot of the bed, Nero against the far wall, reached somewhere that nothing else had been able to. The first full night of sleep in 9 months happened 11 days after they moved in. She didn't notice until the next morning when the light in the room was already different. She had slept through the worst hour. She lay there for a long time before getting up, just listening to the sound of them breathing. Aries near the door, slow and steady, Caesar at the foot of the bed, the way he had been for Daniel, Nero against the wall, already awake, already watching. Here is what most people get wrong about large breeds. The Cane Corso is not a recent creation. This is a breed with roots in the Roman legions of the 4th century, used to hold ground, guard estates, and operate in conditions that required something beyond size alone. They were bred for judgment, for the ability to assess a situation, make a decision, and act on it without being told. What most people see as intimidation is actually something closer to literacy. They read everything. And what Aries, Caesar, and Nero had been reading since the day they arrived on Clearwater Lane, every car, every footstep, every rhythm that didn't match, was a complete and detailed picture of what belonged there and what didn't. On October 11th, 4 months after moving in, Margaret found out exactly how detailed that picture was. You've been here this whole time and haven't subscribed yet? That honestly stings. Hit that button. What happened on October 11th is the only reason this story needed to be told. The security camera at the side entrance had been installed by the previous owners. Margaret had never checked it. She didn't know it was still recording until October 12th, when her insurance company called about a regional alert. 2 houses on the adjacent street had been broken into overnight. She pulled up the app on her phone at the kitchen table. She found the clip from 3:09 a.m. and pressed play. She watched it once with her hand over her mouth, then watched it again. Aries got up first, not from sleep, but from stillness. There is a difference, and the camera caught it exactly. He had been lying motionless at the bedroom door for close to 2 hours, and what he did at 3:09 was not the movement of a dog waking up. It was the movement of something that had been waiting, and had just received confirmation of what it was waiting for. He walked to the end of the hallway, stopped, listened. 8 seconds later, the side gate moved. Aries turned back, one low sound, not a bark, not a growl, a frequency. Caesar was upright in 3 seconds. Nero appeared from the front room, already in position at the entry, already facing outward, already completely still. 3 dogs, 3 angles, a formation nobody trained them to take. The gate moved again, this time slower, more deliberate. Aries placed himself in front of the side door, not crouching, not threatening, just present. 131 pounds of complete, immovable presence in front of a glass door at 3:09 in the morning, in a house where a 54-year-old woman was asleep upstairs, in a neighborhood that had spent 4 months writing letters about whether he had any right to be there. A figure appeared at the edge of the camera frame. It stopped at the gate latch. The latch moved 4 inches. Then the figure looked up and saw what was behind the glass. The camera caught exactly what it saw, a shape that filled the doorframe from the floor to mid-pane, not moving, not making a sound, just there, absolutely certain, waiting for nothing else because nothing else needed to happen for it to be exactly enough. The figure stood still for 11 seconds. Then it left, the way people leave when they have made a decision about something very quickly. The 2 houses broken into that night were on the adjacent street. Both had no dogs. Margaret's house was untouched. She watched the footage twice. Then she called her daughter. Then she called Patricia. Patricia came over that afternoon and stood in the hallway looking at the 3 dogs, Aries near the window, Caesar in his armchair, Nero watching the door from across the room. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she said, quietly, "I didn't understand what they were." Margaret nodded. Most people don't. It was the first real conversation they had ever had.
Today, Aries, Caesar, and Nero have been on Clearwater Lane for 14 months. Aries still removes objects from elevated surfaces at a rate that defies explanation. Caesar still owns the armchair. Nero still sits at the front window every morning, 51 minutes, same angle, same quiet certainty. The HOA stopped sending letters. Patricia comes by Sunday mornings. The couple at the end of the street say hello now. The delivery driver rings the bell and waits. Margaret still thinks about Daniel every day. She still eats at a table built for 10. But Caesar's head is on the table by minute 3, and the house Daniel picked, for reasons she is still learning, turned out to be exactly the right size for one person and 3 animals who decided on a Tuesday in June that this was theirs to protect. Not because they were trained to, because she was theirs, and for a Cane Corso, that is the only reason there will ever need to be. Sometimes the ones who look like the most dangerous thing in the room are the only ones standing between you and what's coming. You just have to be willing to let them stay. Would you have kept 3 Cane Corsos in a neighborhood that didn't want them? Tell me in the comments.